So hello friends, today we will learn about AWS security. So for that we would be reading this book on AWS security principles. So there are various tools in AWS that we should be knowing before we started working on Devops related project and AWS cloud. So some of these things which I have read in this book and case studies were also there. So case studies would be related to how to prevent S3, Amazon S3 security best practices, that all the data in the S3 should be encrypted, proper policies are be there. Then question would be how to manage these policies and security or encryption. So by default Amazon S3 provide SSL, default encryption enable. So you must have that thing. And we should have S3 bucket policies that allowed a wildcard entry in the principal or action parts of the policy. Any wildcard entry should not be there. As per security principles, only as per need basis it should be there. So we can use AWS Trusted Advisor to inspect your S3 architecture. So we should know about this name, AWS Trusted Advisor. Second, we have to use some command like list buckets API to scan AWS S3 bucket to examine whether the buckets have compliant access control configuration, list commands, get command and ACL command. There's detective controls with AWS config rules. So AWS configuration rules we should be using to just change the access policy from a single point. Maintain the principle of least privilege using IAM rules, identity access management. IAM rules to assign temporary credential as needed instead of distributing long-term credentials. Encrypt your data at rest both on server side and customer side. Enforce encryption of data when it is in transit. Enable versioning to be able to roll back to previous version if data was compromised. Enable cross-region replication to provide high availability of resources. So there is one question about cross-region replication and cross-availability zone replication. So one region can have multiple availability zones. So cross-regions means cross-geographies. Control access to S3 bucket by limiting traffic from specific virtual private VPC endpoints only, so that your services which are accessing S3 bucket, they should be have access from only VPC endpoints, not public access. S3 monitoring and auditing. Identify audit S3. There is a key value tags used to identify sensitive information. Monitoring tools, some you can tell CloudWatch, CloudTrail, AWS config to review changes in configuration relationship between resources. Investigation. Use Amazon Mackie to identify any sensitive data in your bucket like PII information or Aadhaar card information, social security numbers, bank mobile numbers. So Amazon Mackie is a tool which you can identify. Check Trusted Advisor for warnings on open access permission. So another tool is Trusted Advisor. S3 corrective tools. S3 monitoring, use AWS config to review changes in configuration. Config can be used with AWS System Manager and runbooks to ensure the configuration are in compliance. Using AWS System Manager automation, the customer can use automation to configure and manage AWS resources. An example AWS config manage rule is S3 bucket public read is prohibited. In the manage rule, an organization S3 will deny attempts to be read by general public. It checks for the block public access setting, the bucket policy in the bucket access control list. Does not allow public read access. Block public access setting, restrict all public ACL on bucket ACL. Well architected framework tools. Despite the appearance of a clear line of division on responsibilities in the shared responsibility model, implementing it is less than clear, and the answer of security or security in can revert back to depend. This is a large part due to the different categories of services. Three types of services can be categorized as infrastructure services, platform, software as a services. Platform as a service is RDS service. Software as a service such as CloudWatch. There are three kind of mitigations for any security. One is preventive. You can prevent before the attack, during the attack known as detective, and after the attack is responsive. AWS has developed a prescriptive guidance that can help their customers strategize accelerate cloud migration. Preventive controls are designed to prevent an attack. So, what are the AWS services that are used for detective measures during the incident? Amazon Guard Duty uses threat intelligence, machine learning, anomaly detection. AWS Security Hub checks for adherence to best practices, aggregate alerts to one dashboard, enable automated remediation. Amazon Mackey, fully managed data security, data privacy service, pattern to discover, protect sensitive data, uses, manage and custom data identify, integrates with EventBridge to end findings to security. AWS Config, audit and records compliance of AWS resources. The services in use and creates a full inventory of resources with configuration details of each. Records and provide a notification if there is a configuration change. AWS Trusted Advisor can be used as a service for detective controls available on service plans with additional features for business enterprise. Areas that can be optimized to improve security. Amazon Inspector, automated vulnerability management service, workload uninterrupted exposure. Users rules to evaluate AWS resources, remediate non-compliant resources. Use the system manager automation to define the action to perform on resource. Sends new findings, update of existing one to EventBridge. Custom actions can be created to send specific findings, insights, results to EventBridge. Creates Amazon System Manager creates runbook for common types of attacks. Let's compare the platform as a service model for RDS. Pass RDS, customer response, manage and encrypt data, classifying their assets, manage access permission. This is the customer responsibilities. What is the customer responsibilities in infrastructure? All necessary security configuration, all necessary security management, managing, updating, patching OS, any application software utility installed by customer onto the instance, configuration of the security group. What is the AWS responsibilities? Patching, fixing flaws with the infrastructure, maintaining configuration. AWS provide training to their own employees. What is recovery time objective and recovery point objective should be established. The recovery time objective states the acceptable amount of time that system or data can be unavailable. This varies for different. Some industries like banking require immediate availability. Other industries such as social media, gaming can handle longer RTO. RPOs also depend upon the industry. The RPO designate an acceptable amount of data that can be lost. Another thinking about is how often you should make backups of your data. RPO is a point in time that you last backup your data. If it's done on a daily basis, your RPO is 24 hours. This is two important questions, RTO and RPO, in Devops interviews. POLP, principle of least privilege. To help data to be, it needs to be accessible, proper, and it can be time to identify and manage which users to have. To help identify principle of least privilege. Only the users who need access to perform their job have access. This prevents all users from the same type. Instead implies action at access management policies. There are new design principles for the data: distributed, immutable, and ephemeral. Maintaining a secure network. Distributed DDoS resistance. Best solution against a distributed attack is distributed service. Immutable changes easier to detect and reverse. Unauthorized changes stand out and can be reverted to known good. Drives value of asset closer to zero. Making attacks persistent hard reduces concern for assets at risk. Availability can be impacted by data servers not being available. Popular example is DDoS attack. Traditional infrastructure too difficult to combat. AWS allows customer to build to scale. According to you, the best solution of DDoS and ensure the availability is to build a distributed architecture. This can be done in a multi-agent or multi-region approach using auto-scaling groups and elastic load balancing to distribute the traffic to healthy. This idea is simple. Immutable counters The integrity component in user integrity focus on data being accurate and not being subject to unauthorized access. If the data is immutable, any attempt to unauthorized changes would stand out. Can be reverted back to last known good data. It's a $10 word for temporary. Why would they some? I don't know. Temporary means ephemeral storage. Like AWS Lambda EC2 instance store AWS IAM and security token service. These resources are either natively temporary or can be made temporary by design. Idea is that if something is ephemeral, it can make attack persistence hard and reduce the concern for confidentiality. While some could argue that replace CIA, over 200 resources availability, understanding, implementing best practices for both CIA trade and can be help building secured network. What are the security foundations in the AWS? Implement a strong identity foundation IAM rule, enable traceability using CloudTrail. Apply security in all layers like web application firewall, WAF, network ACL, NACL, security group, service control policies, and key management services. Automate security as the principle of least privilege, protect your data in transit and at rest. Access management to service should be provided on need to know basis and need to do basis. All availability zone in a region using high bandwidth, low latency networking that provides high throughput between edges. Protecting require planning, managing network design to provide isolation for resources in your workload. The IAM access is with the Amazon is a free resource. Principle of least when teaching the survey, AWS has established strict policy rules in terms of explicit allows and implicit denies, but it's still ultimately the customer remember to use this resource correctly. Use temporary credentials. By requiring users to use temporary credential with an identity provider to gain access to AWS. Assigned by using IAM rules. So only give temporary credentials to user so that they can create their own credentials after login. Require MFA for IAM users or root users access to a multi-factor authentication or root user access to an account. Rotate access keys regularly. Safeguard user root user credential. Principle of least privilege. Cyber security. There are 6 pillars of cloud computing: performance, efficiency, reliability, operational excellence, cost optimization, security, sustainability. What is AWS Shield? Let's go some of the important AWS tools which you should be knowing in the interview. AWS Identity Access is a web service for securing, controlling access to AWS resource. This is internal users or other resources such as EC2 instance, not the end users of an application. Helps enforce the principle of least privilege. What is needed to perform on the job? What users' roles and their actions? AWS Shield provide protection against DDoS attack. AWS CrowdTrail monitoring service, not a security service. Monitors API calls made in an account. Services that provide protection in VPCs. Security group. Security feature for VPCs. Act as a firewall to allow or deny inbound or outbound traffic at the resource level, EC2 instance level. Security groups. Security feature for virtual network access control. NACL. Security feature for VPCs. Allow deny both inbound and outbound at the subnet level. So security group is at the access at the resource level, but network access control list is at the subnet level. VPC flow logs capture about IP traffic going to and from the network interfaces in a virtual private VPC. Amazon Detective helps cloud administrator perform a root cause analysis by analyzing, investigating, and quickly identify root cause of security findings or suspicious. Use machine learning, statistical analysis, graph theory to generate visualization. AWS Firewall Manager, AWS Shield, AWS VPC Security, AWS Network Firewall, Amazon Route 53, Resolver DNS Firewall. AWS Firewall Manager provides centralized monitoring of DDoS attacks. Amazon Guard Duty Continuous Security Monitoring Service help identify unexpected malicious activity. Analyzes process data like AWS CloudTrail data events for Amazon S3, CloudTrail management, DNS log, Kubernetes audits, AWS VPC and RDS login activity. Uses 3 techniques such as list of malicious IP address and domains to identify activity. Inform you of status AWS by producing security findings that you can view in Guard Duty console or Amazon CloudWatch events or export to S3 buckets. Can integrate with AWS Security Hub and Amazon Detective. So basically Amazon Guard Duty is just collecting lot of data and it analyzes all the data sources. AWS IAM Identity Center provide one place to create or connect workforce, human users and manage their access to all their AWS account applications that support SAML 2.0. Create connect workforce users. Allows for multi-account permission. You can plan for and centrally implement IAM permissions. Create granular permission based on common job roles, custom permissions to meet security needs. Amazon Inspector Security Vulnerability Assessment Service. Improve the security compliance of AWS resource, assess resource for vulnerability deviations. AWS Secret allows users to replace hard-code credentials in code such as password with an API call to Secret Manager. Can be configured to automatically rotate the secret view according to a specific schedule. AWS Security provides you with a comprehensive view of the state of security of your AWS resource. Collective account services support third-party partner helps you analyze your security trends, identify your highest priority security issues. It's a monitoring. AWS Config is a monitoring service, not a security service. Provides detailed view of resources and configurations of resources in an AWS account. AWS Network Firewall, stateful managed network file, intrusion detection or intrusion prevention detection for VPC. Filters traffic going and coming from internet gateway, network address translation gateway or over a virtual private network or AWS direct connection. Amazon Maki, fully managed data security and data privacy service. Pattern to help discover, monitor, protect sensitive data in S3. Amazon Cognito allows you to add user sign up, sign in and access control to web and mobile application. Support SAML 2.0 OpenID, connect to a live single sign-on via social identity providers. Utilizes user polls, identity polls. Allows you to monitor web app requests that are forwarded to Amazon CloudFront distributions or an application load balancer. AWS Web Application WAF, the web requests that are forwarded to Amazon CloudFront distribution or application load balancer can be used to block allow requests based on conditions. Inefficiency in the security of any organization is due to two reasons: lack of resources and lack of training. Amazon Access Identity and Access Management Service is free. Free tier it is free, freemium no, paid service no. Amazon Detective is free for 30 days. There is no freemium or price based on volume of data ingested from log charge per GB. AWS Firewall Manager, they are not free in a free tier. Monthly fees is starting $100 per region. Amazon Guard Duty 30 days free trial. Volume Amazon IAM Identity Access IAM Identity Center. It's a free tier. It is free service. Amazon Inspector is also for 30 days, it is free. Amazon Secret Manager is 30 days free trial. Amazon Security Hub 30 days free trial. Amazon Shield. AWS Config no free tier. Price based on number of configuration items recorded, active config rule evaluation, number of conformance pack evaluation. AWS CloudTrail, yes, it is free in both freemium. CloudTrail Lake provides additional ingestion and storage. Amazon Maki free 30 days. Amazon Cognito and Amazon Web Application is free in the free tier. See, most of the paid service is number of records or number of data ingested. Reason for any cloud adoption framework is reduce business risk and improve ESG. So this is the AWS Cloud Adoption Framework, that is align, then launch, then scale, then vision. Transformation domains are technology, process, organization, product, business, people, governance, platform, security, operations. Increase operation efficiency, grow revenue, improve ESG. With this question also comes how to prevent or detect the threat. So DDoS attack, you can use AWS Shield. Amazon Config provide a detailed view of AWS resource configuration history, configuration changes that do not align with config rules. Amazon Inspector scans workload vulnerability from misconfiguration. Guard Duty monitors AWS account workload for malicious activity, delivers reports on findings. Data protection. CloudTrail is to capture all the API. Amazon Maki is for PIM. IAM is used to manage permissions. AWS IAM Identity Center manages IAM permission on multiple account and organization to limit data access. Security assurance. Monitor, evaluate, manage, improve effectiveness. Guard Duty. Amazon Space scans workload for AWS security, perform security best practices. AWS Web monitors HTTPS requests to protect web application resource. AWS Firewall Manager is management says that allow you to configure manage firewall rules. Security capability has 4-5 pillars. One is threat detection, one is security governance, detection and data protection and assurance. Vulnerability management is also again Amazon Guard Duty, Amazon Inspector, workload, AWS account workloads for malicious activity, delivers reports. Config provides a detailed configuration history of resource and configuration change. Detective collects log data. Application security. Software development process contains and classify, remediate, mitigate vulnerabilities. Amazon Cognito can control identities and permission by using user polls and identity polls. Manages secrets to protect access to application service IT resource by aligning with security. Manages IAM permission on multiple accounts. What are the security pillars of 7 design principles? Implement a strong identity foundation, enable traceability, apply security at all layers, both data at rest and data at transit. Automate security best practice, protect data in transit. Keep people away from data. Prepare for security events. Implement a strong identity, use IAM roles and secret manager. Enable traceability, Amazon CrowdTrail to identify abnormal API calls. Guard duty can analyze unexpected and malicious monitors account access to identify any anomalies. Apply security at all layers. Network firewall rules. Network traffic MACI for PII data, S3 bucket policies to limit access. Automate security where config can detect any changes to configurations and automatically correct them based on rules. Can also send a notification to IOF configuration. Protect data in transit. Announce in Amazon will encrypt all new objects by default using SSE S3. Keep away. Resources like IAM can limit access and can be used to explicitly deny users. Prepare for security events. Capital One victims are protected by GDPR PIPL based out of Europe. AWS system management. Group your resources, save them into group, gain operational insight, mitigate issues by performing operations directly on resource group. Security Lake. Security Lake normalizes combining data from AWS and other to help increase visibility in response to security event. Thanks friend for staying that long and understanding all the AWS security aspects and tools provided by AWS. So hope you have a fair idea what are the kind of questions can be asked in DevOps related to security. Thanks.